Eremos is more than a name. It's a way of life. It's our sanctuary, our escape from the noise, and our connection to the deeper meaning of our lives. It's about finding joy in the outdoors, seeking growth, and leaving the world a better place than we found it. Welcome to Elevate and Explore, a podcast where we dive into the beauty of nature, self-discovery, and the endless possibilities that come with living intentionally. Welcome to our journey.
So I've got a very strong hankering to go out west. And we were talking today about some Montana elk and deer for next fall. Still have points in Colorado, but my mom's going to Arizona. So there's an opportunity for a spring bear hunt or a aoudad in New Mexico or Texas. Like, there's just tons of opportunities, and I'm not quite sure which one to grab at. Like, which one do you plan? So that's where the spring bear, has always been one that's just been one since we did the Arizona spring bear a couple years ago. The high alpine Montana, Idaho hunt just seems super appealing.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Always wanted to do some bear hunting. Sounds a lot, especially out. That would be cool to do it out in Montana. That'd be really neat.
Well, to hunt one over hounds is a huge goal, but it's not like, I feel like it's just a one and done deal. Like, for me at least, there's tons of houndsmen that would just hunt them. That's the only way they want to hunt them, which I give them a ton of respect for, but it's just not the way I would want to hunt a bunch of bears. I prefer spot and stalk. So
Yeah.
to go out west, glass one, get close, they are almost like a ghost. Is you can glass one from a couple hundred yards away. By the time you get in close, you can't find them at all.
Gone.
And
Yeah.
I think that's really part of the allure. Couple guys, we need to get them on the podcast, but they just went up to Alaska and they did a yacht trip. So they had like their whole family on a yacht. They had a guide that was able to take them out, and they took a small boat up into shore. And I think two of them was able to shoot coastal bears. But you're like right on the ocean, shoot them off the beach, which would be
cool.
so cool in Alaska.
Well, one of the things I found that's come up for me lately with hunting is almost not losing interest in hunting, but just so like when I was down in West Virginia a couple weeks ago, I had this experience. I was coming down the mountain. It was early in the morning. There was nobody around, and there was this group of deer. There was, a small buck, two doe, and two fawns, and I just stood there, and they were probably 20 yards away at the furthest, and just stood there and watched them eat and walk around for, probably sat there for half an hour, and just really cool just being there with them, and started making me think a little bit. Like, and I started thinking about some of the bad shots I've had on some deer, and thinking about these little fawns that are out there that I've harvested some that are about that size and had bad shots, and just had some bad memories come up, and of harming them. And I still love to eat deer meat, but I don't know, I feel like I'm maybe losing a little taste for killing deer. I don't know, it's weird. Same thing with fishing. I've been losing a little, this year I haven't had as much urge to go out and slay fish like I used to. I don't know.
You want my opinion?
What?
I think it's because you're not doing it enough. And there's another side of it that is maturity. Growing up, I could tell you I was the most ruthless, hell on wheels kid with everything from a BB gun, a 22, a shotgun, a rifle, a bow. If I had one of those in my hands, it was just, God help whatever was around, minus the neighbor's dog. But I think everything else was about fair game. And a couple years ago, I started thinking about it, and it's like, I have no urge to go out and shoot turkeys the way I used to. I have no urge to go out and stack up a bunch of deer like we used to. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to. I'm more selective now. You know, right now, like, we have a feeder on the hill. We're watching deer come right up to the house. Like, we've almost got them to the point where we can open the door and get them into the freezer. And it's very tempting by all means, but it's some maturity there. And I can understand the beauty of nature, these, peacefulness of just watching animals do their thing. And you don't have to shoot every single one. The joy of hunting is the experience. So you can still go out in the woods, loaded rifle in hand, and not shoot a darn thing. Ask
Oh
me
yeah.
how I know. I think every time we hunt together, I usually do it, minus incidentals.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just curious, deer season will be coming up here soon. And I'm curious to see, once I get out in the woods and see how I feel this year. We'll see. Not like I said, I'm not saying that I just have zero taste for hunting. Just my perspective on it a little bit has changed. It's kind of same thing. I don't feel the need to go out and kill everything. I think this year, one deer that'll be, more than sufficient. Especially, with going into the van life, I won't have storage room for 3, 4 deer. One
Yeah,
will be. I won't even have enough storage for one whole deer.
for sure. And that's it's a solid point. And I think going out west for me and archery hunting some of Kansas, I I did not kill a. It's been years since I've killed a good buck with the bow. Um, and when I left Pennsylvania, some of the biggest deer I've had a chance to shoot at was in Pennsylvania. And when I went out to Kansas, I saw spikes, I saw fork bucks, I saw really good, decent bucks. And I just, just based off the region, I was like, I can't shoot these. Like, I just much rather watch them. And I think I have a couple videos of them. And it was, it was probably the time I was like 22, 23, maybe 24. I started thinking about deer hunting a whole lot differently. And,
Hmm.
especially when we go out west, I think I'd fare to shoot just at most. Well, you were with me the night that we had the chip shot at a legal buck right outside the truck,
Yeah.
like 40-yard dash, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But I think in any other environment, I probably would have.
Hmm.
Wow, years ago, of course. But you know, I definitely understand what you're saying, but I don't understand the words that you're saying, I guess.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see. We'll see how this year goes.
I think you need to just not shoot at anything until it's bigger than the one that you got there behind you, and then
I
you'll
know.
pick that back up. You'll be all
That
right.
that's what I've been thinking is just go for something special. Like whereas I used anything that would come by, I was ready for it.
Um, I've said, especially now that I've got to hunt with kids a lot more, um, I have been a big fan of hunting what makes me happy. Size doesn't matter. I've got the big deer button underneath my belt. It's going to take a while to top some of them. So in the meantime, I'd rather hunt what makes me happy. And I think the past couple years, hunting with my cousin, she's 13. At the time, she was 12. Um, I think she's actually 14 now. Her and we sat there for that rifle season, and we sat through wind, we sat through snow, we sat through rain. We saw a deer. We couldn't get shots. We missed. I think she missed one. And then that last day of the season, she was very, very ornery. She said, it's just not meant to be. And I guess I'm not shooting a deer this year. And I think, quite honestly, that's where some of my spiritual growth has come from, as well as my personal growth. But I said to her then, I said, just don't think negative. I was like, stuff could still happen. It's mid-afternoon. I said, you know what? Why don't you go get some snacks? Run back to the house. We were there on her family farm, so it was just a couple minute walk back to the house. I said, go get some snack. I want some chocolate milk, and I'll sit here and wait. And that afternoon, like, we saw one or two deer in the morning, and then we didn't see a darn thing, not a flicker, not a move. And bear in mind, like, behind their barn, you can see 600 yards. So we've got binoculars, we've got spotting scopes out. I've got 2 long-range rifles there ready to go. Like, we were pretty well prepared, and we didn't see anything. And that afternoon, she came back with some chocolate milk, and it was the most peaceful, heavenly experience I can ever put words to. If I think back on this moment, because I swear it was the moment that God came back into my life, and it was either the period of time just after losing my grandfather, or just this opportunity to mentor some youth. Something happened that day that I will never forget. And Sydney came marching back. She's got a big, like, half-gallon of chocolate milk she made. And she had a big box of goldfish crackers or something. And she sits down next to me, and I said, Sydney, you're not going to believe this, but there's a deer up here. And it's way all the way up on that 600-yard line. I said, I don't think it's the one, but I was like, we'll keep an eye on it. And then the next couple minutes, there's deer coming from every which corner. And I said, Sydney, there's a legal buck out there. And she says, well, I want you to shoot it. She says, I already missed one. She says, you haven't got a chance to shoot a deer yet. And I said, well, Sydney, this is your hunt. Like, this is your place. And she says, no, I want you to do it. And I said, okay, well, you can either come with me or you can watch. So I set her up with the binoculars on the hill. I had, I think, her brother Cade with the spotting scope, and they're sitting there watching me. And I was able to sneak down along the fence line and arrange it, and it's like 350 yards across the field. And I had that 308, the same rifle I missed that buck in Colorado with, or I wounded the buck in Colorado with. At 350 yards, I dialed it and just straight flattened it. And that deer was nothing spectacular. It was a little fork buck with a 1-inch brow tine. It was a legal buck for PA. And I never, to this day, have experienced as much joy as I had harvesting a deer as I did that one. And then since then, I've got a bunch of them that made me happy, and that's all that mattered.
That's awesome. I love the story. Now, you said you felt like God came back into your life that day. What do you think? Why do you think he wasn't there prior to?
In starting to read the Bible again, I don't remember the exact chapter or verse. I need to go back through and find that. But it talks about a calm, steady peacefulness and stillness. Jesus refers to the wilderness. I mean, Eremos, the name implies, is seeking a wilderness that is untouched by others, because he would go to the tops of the mountain. He would go to these remote places to talk and get close to God. That's where he would go to solve problems. And I say that to say is that day, sitting on top of this hill, overlooking all this field down below us, like we were kind of on a little bit of a hill. I don't want to say it was a mountain, but it was a hill. There was not a chirp of a bird. There was not a gust of wind. You could not hear the sounds of the cows behind us. It was as if it was a picture perfect calm stillness that I cannot replicate. I cannot imagine what that sounds like anywhere else, because it was so peaceful and quiet and still. And it was present. It was spirit somewhere turning, because I felt it inside as much as I felt it anywhere. And like I think I closed my eyes for a few minutes. And when I was in that moment of closing my eyes, it just felt too good to be true. And I have only experienced that maybe once or twice. And I think to answer your question of how do I know he wasn't there before, I think he was. I think God's always been around me. And even though I've done wrong and I've sinned and I've kind of been misled, I truthfully believe that he's always been there and making sure that those are the right stepping stones to kind of lead me back to him. I've had some dark times, and those dark times have always been kind of lightened or lit up because of the outdoors, the wilderness, the friendships that we had. And if it wasn't for some of those moments, I feel like I'd be in a really bad place.
Yeah. Well, it's neat that, because I know the past couple months you've been really diving into faith and spirituality and talking with God, reading the Bible, and it's inspired me to do it a little bit as well. I still haven't picked up the Bible, read it yet, but definitely pray a little more often and talk to God. 2 weeks ago, I was was down in South Jersey, sitting on the sandbar, and I literally just talked out loud for a good half hour just talking about all the things I was grateful for and just different ideas and different things, just talking to God out loud over on the island, out in nature, one of my favorite places. And I felt so at peace and energized that day. It just felt so good. It's a little, I think a lot often, all these things in my head, but when you speak them out loud, it just makes it that much more real and that much more present. And that was a really powerful day. I really, really enjoyed that. That was different.
Oh, the other thing to answer your question is like, how do I know he wasn't there all along? And I tell you this, it's because I never really asked for him.
Mm-hmm.
The times I asked for God was I was in jail. I was doing something really, really, really dumb, and I needed a miracle. And I was begging for something to change rather than changing it myself. And other times it's just like, I guess it was maybe part of the way I was brought up, but it's always like, oh, you gotta hope and pray, and it'll happen. It's like, why don't you just do it and pray? Like, there's a
Yeah.
difference. You don't have to hope. There's no hope. Or there's no need for the hope, rather. But to get to another side of that is like, this weekend I said I was struggling a little bit, and I just needed to ask questions and trying to read. And I think globally, the past week has been very spiritual. There's a lot of spiritual connection here. There's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of questions being out there. So rather than voicing an opinion, like, who am I to say an opinion? The only thing I want to do is seek truth. And I started reading a chapter, just again, opened it up, and I start reading it, and it talks about, I think it was in Ezekiel, talking about his message, God's word, to build an altar. And however we interpret this, I'm sure there's multiple different ways. But the one that struck me was that the measurement was a cubit. That he said this altar needs to be X number of cubic and one hand breadth. So when you kind of go back into this and you look into like the cubit measurement was meant to be 6 of these hand breadths. So it's like the palm of your hand. Typically your arm is like 6 long, so your 1 cubit is from elbow to fingertip. And that was the form of measurement that they used. But the fact that in God's message, God's instruction was 1 cubit and 1 hand breadth, the other hand breadth is meant to be the hand of God, that everything that we do is not possible without some sort of involvement of God's presence in there. And it's whenever we ask for comfort, whenever we ask for peace, whenever we ask for some guiding light, it's always Jesus, take the wheel. Well, Jesus can only do that if he's got a hand on it, right? So I think some of that is definitely up to interpretation, but it's also, it's just a great place to start. And I mean, it best is when you're out there in the wilderness, that's as close as you get.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing I found is I always used to be, when I would pray, I was always asking for something. I was always, like you said, asking for a miracle or something. I was just always asking for more, asking for more, asking for more. I realized I need to stop asking and start saying what I'm already grateful for. And I haven't really got much from it, but you know what? I feel a whole hell of a lot better speaking all these things I'm grateful for. I do it every single day, whether it's in the morning or when I'm laying in bed at night. Different things I'm grateful for from that day or that week, the month, whatever. And it's really changed my mentality a good bit. I feel happier. I feel lighter every day by giving thanks and gratitude to God rather than just asking for things. I think that might be one of the reasons why a lot of people lose faith, is because they're just always asking and never receiving, instead of giving thanks and just doing. You're not going to be given stuff without doing stuff in addition. I mean, you can't just wait for God to just hand you a freaking miracle. I think I fully believe that you got to be doing your part too, putting in the work, doing this or that, and giving thanks. I think
I mean,
too often people are just waiting for it to just come when it's never going to come, by just hoping and praying.
you had a fantastic video the other day, and you're like, I'm going to outline 2 things that you have going for it. I can't quote you word for word, but you'll pick up on it. But, I'm going to
Yeah.
quote or give you 2 things that you can do to kind of jumpstart your life. And one of them is like you woke up. And the next one is you already have all this stuff around you. Just be thankful for that. So, we're asking for miracles to happen. We're asking for something to change, but we never appreciated all the blessings that we had prior to this moment. So why are you expecting to just receive one more blessing that you're going to be ungrateful for? It's your best, and you're not your best, but your most grateful blessing should be the fact that you got to breathe air again, and you got to walk to bed. You got to walk out of bed, like go do something.
You have a bed.
And right. And there's so many of those little things that we just take for granted, and without it, it's just adding to your own internal struggle, that it's almost as if you're expecting more and you didn't do anything to deserve it.
Yeah. I remind myself, I'm freaking blessed. I am very well off compared to a lot of people in the world. And, I always used to be, I need more. I need this. I need that. What more do I really need? I have everything I could need at this moment. Would more be nice? Sure. But I was always living in the, what can I get next? What do I need now? Instead of just living in the moment and just appreciating what I already have. And I think that's how a lot of people live, is just always wanting more, always asking for more and forgetting to just look around. There's so many people that are way worse off than I am. Think of people in third world countries who don't even have a freaking bed to sleep on, don't have somewhere to stay, don't have food to eat, and all these things we take for granted on a daily basis. And I've learned to really be grateful for all these, like you said, the little things. The fact that I have a nice comfy bed I can sleep in tonight. The fact that it's starting to get cool out. I have heat in my apartment to keep me warm and cozy. It's all these things that are daily luxuries, kind of, compared to a lot of the world, that we just take so much of it for granted, and it's so overlooked. And we need to stop and remind ourselves that we are freaking blessed that we have these little things. We have electricity. I can turn my freaking spigot on and have running water. What more do you need?
Absolutely. And life is so short and precious. We talked earlier about these darn chicks in the laundry room here. 1 minute we're watching, they have a 21-day cycle in the incubator. So at day 21, we're like, hurry up, do something. And day 22, they're not doing it. And you're like, move faster. And then like day 22 and a half, I had to go out and bury one. And it's like, you tried to rush something that was working perfection, something that was a working miracle, something that is defying all odds. Like, this is a one-time chance for this thing. It's in an egg, it's in the cell, it's developing, it's trying to hatch, and then it's not hatching. And it's almost like, rushing perfection or rushing a blessing is almost asking for trouble. But then it's acknowledging that life is so short. You want to just enjoy every single second and squeeze as much juice out of it as you can, because you don't know if that's the last time you get to experience that. It's a weird example, trying lives to chickens, because there's a bunch of chickens, but there's also a bunch of people with short lifespans and short memories and blessings that come and go, and it really humbles you.
Yeah, that simple thing of that little chick's life. I mean, life is so precious, whether it's a tiny little animal, a human. It's another thing we take for granted. Yeah. Oh, what else is on your mind lately?
I don't really have a whole lot on my mind. I was the Susie homemaker today, and I made some chicken. I made chicken broth. I made pizza sauce with the tomatoes from the garden. I made pizza dough, and then I made 2 pizzas for dinner: a meat lover's pizza and a chicken bacon ranch pizza.
Isn't that little? Go ahead.
I've been doing them on the Traeger, and like, it is again, that perfect moment. It's like I
Hmm.
worked so hard for this, and it just makes it that much better. And the pizza's like I could never eat somebody else's pizza ever again. It just makes you
Yeah,
enjoy it and appreciate it so much more.
that little stuff is just so gratifying. I really enjoy doing those things, cooking your food from scratch, something that you grew. And, but at the moment, I don't have the opportunity to do that because I don't have a garden. But simple thing is, making my own pizza dough. I love to make my own pizza dough, and I make some damn good pizza dough. And it's just, I love those little simple things that, sometimes we get so caught up in this, building a business, doing this, doing that. But then when you get to do those little simple things, it's just making yourself something wholesome to eat. It's, I love it.
I refuse to let anything come in between that because I will often spend I probably spend, I would say, 8 hours a week cooking, meal prepping of
Hmm.
some sort. Just when I cook, I don't have to tell you twice, but like I cook for an army, and then I always
Yeah.
have extra food left over. And the past couple of years, I've spent figuring out how to freeze different meals and make it so it's always quick and accessible, rather than just going and having to go get takeout or having to go and rush to the grocery store for something. And I've had a really new appreciation for just being self-sustainable. um you know I don't matter how big, cute, fuzzy, or handsome a deer looks, it's still going in the freezer, um if need be. And it's everything from self-processing it and breaking it down, packaging it, then it's processing it again to make sausage or snack sticks or whatever. And there's nothing like going and catching a bunch of salmon up in Pacific Northwest and bringing them home, throwing them in the freezer, and halibut. And like you just go to the
Hmm.
freezer and you can grab something that you worked hard for, something that you put some time and effort into, and it nourishes your body, it nourishes your mind, it makes you feel good. Like, did I need to eat half a pizza tonight? No, absolutely not. Did I enjoy it? It was the greatest thing I've had in a long time. Um, oh, and then the other thing lately is small blessing, small victory. Like we went out checking trail cams, and I found chanterelle mushrooms, and then I found a cauliflower mushroom. So the cauliflower mushroom I've never found before, but I looked at it and I was like, I know what that is. I've seen it somewhere, and I think it's edible. After doing a little research, it is a cauliflower mushroom that is like a noodle replacement. It has a very noodle-like texture. And then obviously chanterelles are just good on everything, but I've started packaging and preserving those um, to add into dishes and soups and things. And
I was never into mushrooms. So I've tried them. That used to be a child thing that I didn't like them, and that kind of grew on me, and I just never always refused to try them again. But I've tried them again, and I can't acquire the taste for them. I don't know if it's the texture or the taste or what it is, but just I don't know. I'm just not a mushroom fan.
I think you need to get like a mushroom that you can undoubtedly go wrong with is deep fried morels with like a little cream cheese filling or stuffed filling and something. Like you can go wild with them.
Yeah,
They are the best.
yeah. Well, a lot of people I know go after the what the heck did you just said the name morels.
Morels.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I never had the chance to try one, but yeah, I know a lot of people really speak highly of them, that they're delicious in many different forms.
Oh, they're so good. Um, those, and it's childhood core memory. Pennsylvania archery season, this time of year probably is the papinki mushroom. They're like little cap button mushrooms. I
Okay.
remember being a kid and like I guess I'd go out with my dad or somebody, and we would we'd get like a garbage bag full of them. And then you have a deer steak with some onions, and like I'd eat gallons of these mushrooms and I'd eat pounds of deer steak. To this day, deer meat, steak, onion, or excuse me, deer meat either steaks, ground meat, or roast or whatever with onions and mushrooms is a staple meal. Like it does not get any better than that. That is as good as living. It's
My staple meal the past couple months, I eat it probably once or twice a week, is ground venison. I take a pound of ground venison and then one large onion, put a bunch of seasoning in it, and that's 2 or 3 meals for me. I freaking love. It's so simple, but it's so good. I put some cumin, some garlic, some other seasonings, and just I freaking love onions and I love venison. It's just the perfect combination. It's so tasty.
so good.
And then my mom was like, "You're just eating meat and onions, like no sides or anything." No, that's all. It's delicious. Don't need
That's all
anything
you need.
else.
Mm-hmm.
Yum.
Almost
Now
that
I'm
time of
hungry.
year.
I've been fasting since last night. Yeah. I'm at just over 24 hours. I'm hungry. I could eat some deer meat right now. It sounds delish.
That's one of the reasons why I made that chicken broth, is just something to sip on. And
Yeah.
we eat a lot of chicken, eat a lot of protein just in general, but we eat a bunch of
Mhm.
chicken between chicken wings and roast. So I've been smoking a whole chicken like once or twice a week. And then the breasts go, thighs go, legs will usually stay, the wings go, and then you're just left with the carcass. So I keep freezing them, freezing them. So then the other day I was sitting here at the house and screwing around on a Sunday. I was like, I'm gonna make stock, and I made 2 gallons of chicken broth, just super quick, super easy. Strained it. It was so good, and to fast for a couple of days and then sip on that to bring you back to health
Yum.
is.
Yeah. I eat a lot of chicken
Mhm.
too, but if I'm eating chicken, typically it's in canned form anymore. I eat a lot of canned chicken, a lot of canned tuna, and a lot of venison. That's like pretty much all I eat. I barely eat out anymore. I am trying to save as much money as I can, so not eating out, and just the canned chicken at first I didn't like it, but it's put a little bit of mayo in it and some hot sauce, and it's delish.
Yeah, canned tuna, like I think this is a college thing, is like get a pan, a little bit of oil, whole can of tuna, just set it down in the pan, sprinkle some Old Bay on it, and then throw it in a tortilla with some lettuce and tomato.
I haven't tried cooking it yet. I'll have to try that. I just eat it raw with some hot sauce.
Yeah, just steer it as like hot and crispy as you can on
Yeah,
both sides, so it makes like a little cake, and then throw it in a tortilla with some lettuce and tomato, maybe a little mayo. Go crazy, add whatever you want to it. But that's
cool.
the starter pack.
Yum. Cool.
We
Sure.
I think my mom was called me asking about dehydrated meals. So a couple of years ago, I did all my own dehydrated meals for a couple backpacking trips, and I had so many of these meals, I just left them in my truck. So I had like dirty rice, I had spaghetti, I had chili,
Mm.
there was a couple of them I had in there, but you just had to add water, and you had really good staple meals, and all of those were made out of venison. And I think back, like there was a couple trips that is all I had. That and like a couple of Cliff Bars, and that was all I ate. And then the other hiking food was tortillas with some peanut butter, a little bit of jelly, and some bacon in them, and Nutella. Nutella was always good.
Yes. Now I'm gonna eat. Gosh darn it. Nope, I'm going till tomorrow morning. I normally go from Sunday evenings till Tuesday evenings. I started Sunday, but then yesterday I had a golf outing, and they had a big lunch spread, and it's like, you know what? I'm eating. I'll restart tonight and go till Wednesday. So that's what I'm doing. I really
Well,
enjoy
I'm
the
proud of
fasting
you.
though. But man, I ate more than I should have yesterday, and I've been eating so clean and so good, and my digestive system has absolutely loved it. And yesterday was a good reminder, or this morning was a good reminder of that I need to continue eating the way I'm eating, because yesterday I had a hot dog and a hamburger and baked beans and mac and cheese and brownies and cookies and chicken and, all in one meal. And then, yes, my stomach did not like it at all. So it's a good reminder every once in a while that I'm doing the right thing on a daily basis. So I don't feel bad that I overate because it's not going to affect me. But it was just it was a good reminder, overindulging every once in a while is completely okay. The last time I did it was probably a month ago. So to overindulge once a month, much better than it used to be weekly, daily. Shit, I'll take it.
Three times a day.
Yeah, literally, exactly.
It's easy to do, and like the two things is starting to count. I'll be honest with you and say that I don't pay attention to it as much anymore, but it's also because I've also just been eating more clean food. My mindset is like, if I'm eating more protein and more vegetables, I don't need to track them as much. So I may have 2 or 3 portions, but also I need to get my eating schedule back under control. But the quality of your food, and especially in today's world where everything is processed and packaged, Katie's been going through and doing this anti-inflammatory diet. Not keto, not protein. Let's just scan stuff and see if it's aligns with our bodies. And like half the stuff in our pantry that she just thought was quick and easy to grab for the kids, or she'd take to work because it was quick and easy, it comes up as like absolutely terrible for you. And there's no surprise there. I've always been a big fan of don't buy anything with name brand labels, don't buy anything with processed grains and processed this, that, and everything else. I've always been a big fan of get it as close to the ground as you can get it. That's a good way to live. And if you can't, at least just pay attention to, like you say, good protein, good vegetables, even simple carbs.
Yeah, eat less,
no sugar,
less of the bad stuff and more of the good stuff. The salad or vegetables, for instance, you can eat a ton of them and feel completely full, and it's a hell of a lot better than having a couple scoops of peanut butter or something like that. I will tell you though, my guilty pleasure anymore, my dessert, my snack, is I have a jar of peanut butter and a jar of jelly, and I'll take a couple scoops of each, and that no bread or nothing, just literally a couple scoops of jelly, a couple scoops of peanut butter. That's my guilty snack.
So I discovered one last night. Now bear in mind, 100% stone cold sober, no influence here. Katie had some dates in the closet.
Oh, I love dates.
You take some dates and a couple chocolate chips, and then you heat them up, and then the chocolate melts, and then you put some pecans in there. Oh boy.
Well, you told me I need to try sauteed dates. You said cut them in half and a little bit of butter.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to saute them. You just cut them in half, spread some butter on them, and like those are good just as is too.
Dates are one of those things that they're freaking delicious, but they do have a lot of sugar in them, even though they're natural. I think like 5 of them is like 150 calories.
Oh yeah, you only have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Unless you're really well behaved, then you can have a couple more, but
yeah. Well, I think that's all I got.
a good little sidebar conversation this evening.
Yeah, a little different than the usual.
Well, speaking of a little different, next week we have a very impressive and very interesting guest lined up. We're super excited about that one and looking forward to it. Coming from across the pond is all we can say.
Yes. I'm very excited. It'll definitely be something different, and seems like a very, very cool person to have on here. So I'm very excited.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you all. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. And stay tuned in. Give us a like, share, follow, comment. If you want to hear something special, you want to be on it, let us know. Have a great one, everybody. Thank you.